You can't sit there and say, based upon my opinion and my years of experience, a bedroom adjustment is $10,000. Yes?
Do you have to reference like to a report or some sort of thing, like to say you have a pool and it's a outrageously beautiful pool with rocks and waterfalls and everything, and it's not a pool that is like needs to be demolished. So, for example, when you do an evaluation of something like that, would you say like, okay, would you need to refer to some sort of report in that narration of why you determined it was that value? I mean, like, what do you say? Like, oftentimes when we write things, we have to say, okay, according to this report, those type of values are evidence because of this report.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
What the appraiser will say is the most straightforward one is what we call match paired analysis. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
Okay, match paired analysis in a very simple example for a pool. Say you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. They're both 1,500 square feet. They're both on the same street. They're right next to each other. They're all remodeled. Everything's exactly the same, but one has a pool and the other one doesn't have a pool. And they both sold it the exact same day. And it's the one with the pool sold for $10,000 more or $5,000 more. That difference in value is what's called the adjustment for match paired. Now the challenge with match paired is you never ever get apples to apples in the real world. So what a lot of appraisers are moving toward is regression analysis, which is taking all the data in the market and letting the math figure out what the adjustment is. Now I will tell you one thing, because I was once again an early adapter for regression analysis. It's got to be 5 or 6 years ago. Started using it in my reports for lenders, and they hated it. Because the reviews, a lot of the, I'll try not to bash too many lenders today. A lot of the reviewers aren't appraisers,
Right.
which is I have a very hard time with. I mean, especially for the amount of education, experience, and mentoring that I had to go through to be an appraiser, and then to have somebody who's not an appraiser say, I don't like your report, or I don't, or better yet, I don't know, and really what the regression analysis was we don't understand it, so don't use it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, as an appraiser's duty, I'm supposed to do the best I can and give you the market evidence and data to prove my adjustments. All right, I'm getting way off track. Okay, so what, yes?
I don't know if it's too early for this question or not, but are you going to talk about the validity of comps, of the carefully researched comps to arrive at a market value for a property versus the value that you might arrive at with an appraisal, with a full-blown appraisal, because that's key to our work.
Yes, I will address that, and my quick answer, the question was, if I can summarize it, is the validity of a well-researched comp?
A well-researched comps to arrive at market value versus the market value that you get when you do a full-blown appraisal.
Yes, I will address that. And it's actually one of my review points, because the pressure to do an appraisal quickly and cheaply is really the core of all the problems. Because what you're saying is, and here's my example for what she was asking about is researching and getting all the information on the comp. Here's my example, and here's the challenge to all the guys who are still out there trying to do lender work. And I do lender work, but like I said, I only have a few specific lenders I work with. The challenge with that is I get on the phone. So let me go back. In an appraisal, you have to, any sale you use as comparable has to be verified by a minimum of 2 sources. So the first source is MLS. Second source is what I use is realquest.com, which is just county records. So that's your 2. The number, and then really, and this is from doing it right, is call the realtors involved. So where this falls apart is the bank's pressuring me to get the appraisal done tomorrow. I call the realtor. No offense to realtors, but if I'm not doing your deal, you don't return my calls. And it's not even me and mean. They do return my calls, but they don't necessarily return it within the time I need to. Usually I'm like calling going, I need you to pick up the phone now. So that point is, yes, you have to do that work. Does it happen in the real world with residential appraisals on lender work? No. From the review work I've done, and it's embarrassing for my profession, one of the biggest things you can do is review a report, sit down, pull the comps off of MLS, pick up the phone, call the realtor, find out what really happened on the sale. And yes, they're supposed to do that.
Isn't that true for county records? You don't really know how the sale
Well, county records is only basic. It's square footage, bedroom and bath.
Right.
Yeah, and here's a point that I've had that will relate to you guys. I've had some realtors get mad at me. They'll give me a sale and they'll say it's just county records. Well, as an appraiser, I have to have minimum of 2 sources of verification, and ideally, I've spoken to somebody that was involved in the deal. So if you hand me a county record of a closed sale that was around the corner and I can't call anybody to verify it, I can't use it. I can't use it. I'm not supposed to use it. That's a mistake.
Sometimes
Yeah,
conditions.
it could be sold from, father to daughter, or brother to brother, or, I mean, I have a great example. I was doing an appraisal up in Palo Alto, and it was on one of the last big, huge lots in old Palo Alto, and the realtor, and he's a good realtor, so he was joking with me. He said, well, I got one right around the corner that sold for you. He handed me the information. It was a $12 million sale. And I was like, great, is it on the MLS? He goes, oh, no. I was like, do you know anything about the sale? He goes, oh, yeah, Larry Ellison bought it. And he goes, oh, by the way, there was like some sort of donation to the university because they bought it from Stanford. And we were joking because he knows it's not an arm's length transaction. It's just, that's not your typical buyer and seller, which I will cover in market definition of fair market value. Yes?
So does it help if we put in the escrow information?
Yes. As an appraiser, the more information you put in your MLS listings, the more I can do with the data. Here's a very good example. I've had homeowners ask me what's the value increase on their property because they put a big solar system in the thing or other energy efficient things, and I go, it's great. It probably adds to your sales appeal. I go, but you know what? Until there's market data, I can't make an adjustment for it. I could do a cost analysis. I could do, I could probably capitalize, show what you were spending on PG&E, and then now show what you're doing, and maybe figure out some sort of cap rate. I can divide that. It's just weird. But here's my point to that. I could do all that, and it would work for appraisal practice. And here's another big difference today in in the conversation. Appraisal practice, and I can prove it. A bank will just laugh at me, and they have. So banks want the data from the market. And if the realtors are not putting that data in, I don't know what features are in that house. Yes?
So when you're up against time, when you have an appraisal and you look at it and it's, off in the sense of way off, and you give a new comp showing that, well, how did the appraisal come up with these dollars? And then you give them a recent, another recent comp within the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not willing to use that. I mean, in my incident, it was, critical of timing. So it was not wanting to use the comp we gave him to look at it and say, why are you using this? And finding out that they used a year-old comp as well in what they gave us.
Yeah.
So the time that we were looking for as having a new appraisal done, it just seemed like, well, we'll get back to you in like 2 days. We got to review it. So on top of waiting for the appraisal to come through, then waiting for the office itself to review it, to make the decision if they're going to redo that, and then getting somebody out to go redo the appraisal, that was like almost 7 days.
Yeah.
The timing is so critical, and trying to figure out how can you get it to the appraiser department's understanding how important it is to get that appraisal done quickly, and
Yeah.
not understanding how the appraiser is, doesn't accept your comp. They came back to us saying, well, we can't use that comp because it's on the other side of the freeway. And for us, we're like, so you use that to give to me as part of my comp. You gave us,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Let me get going on this because I think I'll address a lot of the questions. So what we're going to cover, and do any of you sell commercial property? Okay, I got one or two. Okay, some of the stuff I'll go through because it has to do more with commercial. So as I said, please ask questions. Going to cover the transmittal introduction, identifying key physical attributes, highest and best use analysis, which I'll do. That's more on the commercial side. Residential is pretty straightforward. If it's a single family house and a tract of 500 homes, you know what its use is. Then focus on sales comparison approach and appraisal red flags. That'll address a lot of the stuff. Some of the, let's see. Like I said, I'm going to jump around because there's key concepts I want you to take away. So let's jump to the sales comparison because it's most applicable to you guys. The things I want to talk about. What is the value definition used? Knowing allows you to address sales used in the report. Defining a market versus neighborhood, and what I also call market segmentation for each area within the market, which I'll go over. Verification of data, which answers your question. Get all the information. Like I said, I'll tell you right now, if you are if you're rebutting an appraisal, first thing you want to do is start calling the realtors involved in the other sale, because I will guarantee you 9 times out of 10, the appraiser never called them. Unless it's in litigation or something else. Yeah. Yes?
Can we get a copy of the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, please drop off your card. I will send a PDF of this presentation, and then I will also send you an appraisal rebuttal letter that I use. Is what I do. Yeah, I'm recording this too, but I kind of use this for marketing, but I also do it just to see how I speak. And I'm trying to get better at speaking, because I know sometimes I jump around and I confuse people, or that's what I've been told. So trying to get a little smoother. So then support for adjustments where the rubber meets the road. I think that's one of the biggest things you guys are very interested in. And another quick survey, because I'm always offering classes to SCORE. Would you be interested in a class